Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the multiverse, wherever you might be listening, on this Earth, some parallel Earth, or in a drowned underwater location. If you're wondering about that, we will talk about that. My name is Rogue Convoy, and welcome to part 3 of the Batman, or the Batmen series, I should say. In this case, it's now a Batwoman. And so, with that, the last couple of days we've talked about the Batman Who Laughs. We've talked about now Red Death. Now we're moving into part 3 of this series, and eventually I will do parts 4, 5, 6, and 7. We are talking today about the drowned Batman. This lovely woman right here. She comes to us from Earth -11. Now we're traveling from Earth -52 at the other end of the spectrum back into Earth -11, so towards the front. With that, I do offer this is because I thought, you know what, we've talked about two very important Batmen. Let's talk about a Batwoman, and the only woman in this group. So of 7 evil Batmen, she's the only woman in this group. And I figured that would be a good place to end this particular series for now. So with that, sit back, relax, put your seat trays up, and we're also going to show you a couple different things here. Like, we talked about the graphic novel in episode 1 of this series. We've talked about the things. We've also continuously talk about the pops. My pop figures. Obviously, the drowned Batman got her pop late last year, and I was quite excited when that came out because that signaled it was towards the end of the group. And there was also a toy that came with it. Not a toy that came with it. So I found this one day at Walmart. I was kind of curious. And this gives you an accurate representation of what kind of the Batman Who Drowns is. The drowned Batman is. You know, you can see the trident. You can see her eye patch. We'll talk about all this stuff. So with that, sit back. Just put your seat tray tables up. And let's dive in. The door is now open. And welcome to Dark Knight's Metal, or we're going to call it The Batman, Part 3, the Drowned edition of the Ultimate Mayhem. Okay, so I'm not going to talk, haven't been talking about the history because of the fact that I've done a video based on Dark Knight's Metal. Now, if you haven't seen this, pause the video, go watch the Dark Knight's Metal video, and then come back to this video, or come back to my other 2 videos as well. All 3 will be in the links, will be in the description below. So with that, let's just dive right in. So Bryce Wayne, as we now know is her actual name, was born on Earth -11. Instead of Martha Thomas Wayne, we don't know the mother's name, but the fact is that the dad's name is Martin Wayne. So obviously on this particular Earth, they're gender swapping everything. And basically, like everyone else, her parents were killed in an alleyway after a theater and whatnot. Bryce, though, after the experience, becomes a crime fighter, and she gets into a relationship with Sylvester Kyle. Now, why does that name sound so familiar to you? Because that name is for Selina Kyle, who is Batman's main love interest through all of the Batman shows and the Batman comics and whatnot. And we find out that he was killed by a group of rogue metahumans. Now, obviously, metahumans are people like mutants and stuff from Marvel, but they have their own powers and they can kind of learn control. So to get her revenge on the metas, she went basically on a killing spree over a year and a half. So she started killing them off one by one, just to get the revenge for Sylvester that she believed was the best course of action for her. So a year and a half. So it took 18 months to kill everybody. She obviously figured out ways to do things, defeat the metas, and yeah. After the last metahuman had died by the hands of Bryce, she believed that her world was now saved, and with all of them dead. But that is when the Atlanteans return. Enter Aquawoman. The Aquawoman who had just returned with her people after spending many years in exile. The Atlanteans came in peace. Yeah, I just did the air quotes. Figure it out. But Bryce did not believe them. Bryce continued to doubt the agreement that Aquawoman of Atlantis had, which she believed that they were using as a ruse for their own plot. So she didn't believe them. She did not believe that they were the ones that were going to come back and say, yes, we have come in peace. And then Bryce was like, yeah, I bet you do. Bryce also believed that the Atlanteans were more rogue metahumans, which she would eventually have to put down. So at that point she was proven right when the talks between the surface people and the Atlanteans fell apart and a giant war broke out. Bryce, I was going to say Bruce. Trust me, it's hard enough for me to say Bryce, keep saying Bryce, because her name is actually Bryce Wayne. Bryce sided with the surface people, and she knew that the Atlanteans would try to win the war at all costs to themselves. Bryce eventually steals the trident from which Aquawoman carries, so she eventually gets the trident away from Aquawoman, and using it as a weapon to kill her with. So basically, she takes the trident, kills Aquawoman, and she believes that that will be the one thing that will drive the Atlanteans back into the ocean and make them stay there. So that proved that basically the surface should not be messed with. The Atlanteans, though, strike back, dragging Gotham down into the deep and parts of the world with it. So basically, they, after the fact, they lost, they know they lost, they're just going to drag everything down with them. And that is the revenge for the death of the Aquawoman. Bryce only looked at this as an opportunity in which she used to begin to plan changes to herself. With the plans came some either surgical, so she was basically modifying herself to make herself more formidable against these particular Atlanteans, and also the fact that maybe protecting her world in the process. So she was able to breathe underwater. She controls the water around her. She learned a very dark version of the hydrokinesis, so basically controlling water and whatnot, and it was called Dark Water, and that's what most of her minions were known as. And there was a bunch of other changes as well, her new strength and all that. The new abilities were also greatly increased using the trident that her opponent had been killed with. So the magic of the trident basically allowed her to get a lot of the new abilities and whatnot she had, but increased them to her strength. Bryce was able to conquer Atlantis and bring the rest of the world underwater. Bryce had lit up the bat signal as a beacon of hope, but it had gone dark. She goes to investigate the signal and found the Batman Who Laughs there. He told her of why her world was about to die, and he brought up the idea that the multiverse above was just holding her world back. She was told that this new world was holding, basically what I just said. Her world was created through the above world's nightmares. That is the only reason she agreed to help them, is to get her world back and keep it under her control. And she then agreed to join the Dark Knights under the alias The Drowned. So she's basically now the Drowned Batman. She, with the other Dark Knights, began attacking Earth Zero because Bryce Wayne opened a portal to the world above their own. The Drowned helped the Murder Machine take over the Watchtower that the Justice League was using, which was protected by Cyborg, and they turned it into something that was a more twisted and dark version of what it was. The Batman Who Laughs emerges later using some cards he had, so made of dark metal. So these cards that he was carrying, obviously made of metal, he tosses them at people. He manages to take down the Green Arrow, Damian Wayne, Nightwing, and Mr. Terrific before they're taken away by Dr. Fate. Now, I've mentioned this in a previous video that Dr. Fate seems to intervene just at the right time and protects everybody. The Drowned goes to the hometown of Aquaman, Amnesty Bay, where she goes over to the Curry Lighthouse and begins her planning of sinking the Amnesty Bay back into the ocean, using dark water that she has control over. The Drowned proceeds to use the ocean as a weapon with the help of Aquawoman's trident to help heighten her powers. This was the first time she fought Earth Zero's Aquaman and obviously his fiancée Mira. But the Drowned manages to show that she was stronger than Aquaman on several occasions, and then she summons her own army of dead waters to overtake the two of them. So she fights them, and then she summons her army. Okay, go. The Drowned manages to corrupt Mira with the water, so the dark water she uses against Mira, obviously, and then she becomes the member of the Dark Water. And again, Dr. Fate intervenes, taking Aquaman away before Bryce has a chance to kill him. And without anyone to challenge her, she manages to turn Amnesty Bay back into the Gotham that she had lost by drowning it in the dark water. So this is again a random coincidence that Dr. Fate just keeps appearing and taking people away. After she manages to get control of Amnesty Bay, the Drowned and the others return to Gotham, where they help the Batman Who Laughs take down the remaining pieces of the Resistance. So I've added this little rant, and I've known that I was going to have it here as well. It seems to be a recurring theme that once the Dark Knights are near success, Dr. Fate manages to step in and takes everybody away. So, yeah, that's what I've been saying this entire time. Basically, watch out, Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate's kind of a dick. The Drowned and the others tried to take down Superman after he got away from Barbatos. However, Dr. Fate and the Flash help him get away. The Drowned then moves to the Oblivion Bar, where the rest of the heroes are hiding. And they attack together with the other Dark Knights. And Nightmaster is the one who gives himself up and basically sacrifices himself so that the others would have time to escape. So the Dark Knights managed to capture 4 of the Justice League members, trapping them in Batcaves specifically designed for them. Aquaman was one of the ones trapped, and he was held below Amnesty Bay. So in a cruel sense of irony, basically Bryce Wayne uses Mira against him, who had become a giant sea monster, and he was shocked by the idea that she had become this giant sea monster under the Drowned. The 4 Justice League members then were taken to Gotham to be sacrificial lambs for the tuning fork. So that, if I remember correctly, that was Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and the Flash. Cyborg had freed all the members of the Justice League because he had given him part of himself to the mother box that he had inside him. So again, we talked about this, the idea that the mother box inside was the one that would protect them. As the Dark Knights try to get them back, Justice League members escape with the help of Death's Cyborg. Aquaman and Deathstroke can retrieve some of the nth metal, but they return and they're attacked by Black Manta, who manages to injure both. And this was taken by the Drowned, the Murder Machine, and the Red Death. Aquaman was then taken to Gotham, and we've talked about this in the Red Death video, where Bryce did not believe in their mission that they were on, and she slaps Batman, or the Red Death, and moves on. The Dark Knights then attack a carrier that had Raven, the Flash, and Cyborg upon it. Red Death. There's no way for me to pause this. I want to get out of the scene. Red Death tried to attack, but the Flash tried to keep the small universes at bay, basically creating that. But instead of being killed by, the cannon, she fights Aquaman once more and loses, killed by her own trident. So with that is Bryce Wayne. That is number 3. That is the Drowned Batman. Let the multiverse be your guide. Let it guide you through the darkest corners of the universe. Also guide you through the people that are there to assist you. Now, next week we're going to do a StarCraft week, which will talk about Jim Raynor, Sarah Kerrigan, and Zeratul. My name is Roe Convoy, and this has been the Batman, the Drowned Edition.